Part 21. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 202. You get along well with it. When Lily was watching the strange snake swimming happily in the sea, Li Yangzio's voice suddenly rang out from behind. At this time, the sun had just come out in the sky, and the fiery red color in the east of the sea was rising. The sky was rising, and Lily turned her head to look. Li Yangzio's appearance had not changed from before. More than 10 years later, her body had grown from that of a little girl to that of a young girl today, but he was still the young and handsome man back then. She looked as if she had not changed since she was 25 or 6 years old, which made Lily even more suspicious of Li Yangzio's sudden appearance. But she also has secrets of her own, and she knows very well that she can't ask people what they don't want to say. Therefore, the two of them have been teachers and friends over the years, and they have become somewhat intimate, and they have never mentioned anything that should not be mentioned. Son, Lily sometimes let things slip, and Li Yangzio just pretended that he had never heard it. Because of this, Lily felt that he was considerate more and more, and she had a better impression of him. Brother Li is awake. Lily turned around and smiled at Li Yangzio. The strange snake Angang, who had just been making a scene on the sea, saw Li Yangzio appear and hurriedly dived into the deep sea like a mouse seeing a cat. I remember when Li Yangzio almost ate him as soon as he saw him. This man was very dangerous. Animals sometimes have far sharper intuition than humans. The newborn sun is bright and has majestic beauty, but the girl's smile is as bright as the sun. Her skin does not appear rough and dull because of being drifted on the sea all year round. This should be the reason for having the Dragon King's blessing. So the sunshine and weather on the sea loved her very much. She obviously looked completely different from him, but at this moment Li Yangzio couldn't see the beauty beneath her skin. Through this skin, it was as if he had discovered a figure who had always been quiet in another space. His usually calm heart suddenly paused because of the smile that contained no impurities. That feeling was very strange. He originally came because Lily had no plot, and he came to this world to make up for her regret of not being able to receive the plot. As for why he helped her like this, so that he was affected by the laws of time and space created by himself. Suppression seemed to have faded back to a time when he was still very weak many years ago that he could not remember. He was willing to let himself be suppressed. Li Yangzio sometimes couldn't understand it. There are thousands of people who can do tasks for him. There are always some souls who die every year who are unwilling to do so. If they want to complete their mission and repair some of the things they lost after sealing, they don't necessarily need her. If someone is lost, more people will naturally appear. Even if Lily failed, he would no longer continue to exist for her, and there would be no loss to himself, but he still came. If it had been many years ago, he would definitely not do such a thing if he only pursued practical benefits and did not care about the process, but he did it this time. And even now, I don't seem to regret it or feel particularly uncomfortable. Li Yangzio only classified it as maybe he stayed in a certain place for too long and was sealed for too long, so that he could really feel the fresh life, eat things he hadn't encountered in many years, and have someone by his side. So uncomfortable. He glanced at Lily. There was no mirror in front of him, and his power was suppressed, so he didn't know what kind of expression he had in his eyes at this time. He just felt as if he was afraid to look directly into Lily's eyes. A person who has never been afraid now feels that he dare not look into other people's eyes. Moreover, this person can be said to be completely dependent on himself for survival. He actually feels a strange guilty feeling. Lily didn't know what she said, and Li Yangzio frowned. He seemed a little distressed, his thin lips pursed tightly, and a serious look appeared on his face. This look made people look familiar. I couldn't help but smile, and quickly picked up the basket that had just been filled with fish meat for Angang and picked up the blue ribbon fish that was beating on the deck. Brother Li, how do you want to eat the blue ribbon fish today? This kind of homely conversation has never happened to Li Yangziu in his countless years of life, but he didn't feel disgusted at the moment. He put aside the messy thoughts in his heart, thought about it, and said seriously. One is fried, one is grilled, the other is braised, and some kelp is used to cook the fish soup. After calculating what else was in the boat, Lily nodded without hesitation. In fact, the two of them didn't need any gold coins at all. In addition to buying some necessary condiments, some meats were inexhaustible in the sea. With a group of obedient sea emperor beasts that could be summoned, Lily could only just thinking about letting them find some food. The Sea King beast will send out a lot of fish and things from the deep sea every day. Even if he doesn't meet the fat sheep pirates who come to his door, when he arrives at the port, Lily can still use these to find them. The things they couldn't get were exchanged for daily necessities, so the two of them lived a relatively wealthy and leisurely life. There was everything in the boat. Lily thought that there were some dried vegetables and cured meats that she had obtained in exchange, so she decided to make another stew later. Soup. The leisurely life sometimes made her almost forget that she was on a mission this time. At this time, she happily brought the fish into the kitchen, squeezed out a glass of fresh juice and handed it to the woman who was lying on the deck with squinting eyes. In the hands of the handsome young man basking in the sun, seagulls flew over in the sky, and a wrapped newspaper was dropped from the seagull's mouth. This is the method of communication in this world. In this sea, although there are telephones and other communication items, they are almost always used between powerful pirates and the navy. There are also common pirates on land. We can't afford such expensive equipment, and neither do lilies. Therefore, seagulls are still used for most communications in this world. This is the most numerous animal in the world besides marine life. After being trained by people, they will send more people. The instinct of newspapers. In the past 10 years, Lily has received a lot of information in this way, so that she will not fall too far behind the world. When she saw the newspaper, Lily waved to the seagull to come down and enter the kitchen to replace her. It brought out a plate of food. After seeing the little thing eating the food while hiding from Li Yangziu, she also opened the newspaper. In addition to being densely covered with words, it was also accompanied by several photos. When Lily saw the color photo of Nyoda, her teeth immediately started to bite. The Pearl of the Empire, the little Princess Pang Lily of the Pang family is officially engaged to Vice Admiral Mo Ong. This is the headline of this year. No wonder there are seagulls specially delivering letters. Lily is extremely jealous when her enemies meet. She clutches the newspaper tightly with her hands and almost can't hold back from yelling at Pang Lily in the photo. In the photo, Pang Lily was holding Mo Ang's hand. The two of them were looking at each other and smiling. The man was handsome and the woman was beautiful. They were both wearing white dresses. They looked very well matched. Anyone who saw this picture, I'm afraid I have to say that they are a match made in heaven, but Lily has been miserably cheated by Pang Lily in recent years. Ever since he knew that her savior was not dead, Pang Lily announced the news of looking for her, while shouting that he wanted to repay his kindness, which made her Pang Lily's reputation has become better and better over the years, and people say she repays her kindness. Therefore, everyone promoted her to the throne of the Pang family's little princess. She became a famous socialite in the empire world, and everyone saw her. Everyone said that she was kind and beautiful, as if they were reluctant to use all sinful words about her, and no one could bear to make her feel uncomfortable. As a result, the Pang family's business broke the restriction that it could only operate in one of the 4 sea areas. Everyone in the sea has started their own business, and their status is now different from the past. Lily suppressed the nausea in her heart and read the news. The main message in the news was that Pang Lily could not find the poor pirate who made her fall in love with Lieutenant General Moan. Lily's news, but she has never forgotten Lily's kindness in her heart, so even though Lily may have been buried in the sea, she still has to thank Lily. She is grateful to Lily for saving her in the pirate ship and giving her a chance. She met Mo Ang, who was about to marry her for the rest of her life, so she planned to set the grand wedding in the sea where the two met, and the wedding day on the day they met. More importantly, the two of them can also commemorate the unknown pirate. Such a grand occasion is unprecedented. A famous lady in the empire is getting married. While many people are feeling sad and disappointed, many people related to the Pang family will come to attend. The Pang family has friends with people from all walks of life. It can be seen that the people who come will not young master, plus Pang Lily's admirers, and Mo Ong, who now has a very different status in the Navy, his subordinates and colleagues will come to such a wedding, plus the Pang family's different power and wealth now. It has a very close relationship with the Navy, and some pirates also have good relations with the Pang family. Therefore, some high-level naval officials who are rarely seen on weekdays, and even admirals may come to participate in this grand event. Almost the whole world is shocked by this. Some good people even call this the wedding of the Genesis. The big words almost blinded Lily's eyes, causing her to grit her teeth unbearably. This shameless woman, it's okay if she doesn't use her name to show off. These two people want to show off their affection. It has nothing to do with her, but Pang Lily still insists on calling Lily a pirate of the Black Pearl Pirates. Seeing the end of the page, the news writer said in a disdainful tone. No matter whether the unknown pirate is still alive or not, he may have long since passed away, but Miss Lily's kindness and generosity still make me sigh. Such beauty and wisdom, such kindness, there is no way in the world. Even men are rare. A dirty pirate has been remembered by Miss Lily for so many years. Even if he dies, it will be worth it. Unfortunately, I am not Colonel Moan, and it was not me who saved Miss Lily. She is so charming that I have been fascinated by her for a long time. This epilogue commemorates my love that died young. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 203. Lily was so angry that she was trembling all over. She clenched the newspaper tightly and couldn't help but cursed, "You bastard, you are shameless." She suppressed her anger and flipped through other news. Except for the news that Pang Lily was about to get engaged to Mo Ang, the rest of the small news in the newspaper was nothing. Lily was so sick that she couldn't help but she stood up and was about to tear the newspaper into pieces when a slender white hand reached out from her shoulder and took the newspaper easily. "The Miss Pang family you don't like is getting engaged. The groom is also your enemy." Li Yangzhou said something in a calm voice, and Lily's face became more gloomy. "I can't let them go like this, but how can I take revenge?" Li Yangzhou's strength is unfathomable. Lily knows that Mo Ang is definitely not his opponent, but she has helped him a lot over the years, and Lily doesn't want to implicate him with her own affairs. What's more, no matter how powerful Li Yangzhou is alone, can he defeat the whole world? The Navy has artillery shells and guns and machinery, and bullets don't have eyes. Lily doesn't want to implicate him with her own affairs. Since Pang Lily might not only be her enemy, but also the person who harmed the original owner, no matter what, taking this opportunity for her to get engaged, Lily would definitely vent such a bad breath on her behalf. Don't worry, the wedding is scheduled to be in the sea area. It's still too late to rush there. Li Yangzhou looked at her face that was red with anger. Taking advantage of his height, he easily touched her head. "What's more, even if I can't take revenge, but it's okay to come forward and clarify that Pang Lily is not so ungrateful. When you feel uncomfortable and angry, it feels very good to have someone around you who can support you. Lily has done so many missions. Only this time it was both angry and disgusting. Now I can still hear that someone seems to understand my thoughts." He could also comfort her, and he couldn't help but feel very appropriate in his heart. He secretly decided that this time he would leave an unforgettable lesson for Pang Lily's wedding, and nodded gratefully to Li Yangzhou. During the day, she worked harder to practice swordsmanship, and at night she practiced the Nine Yang manual more diligently than before. To be honest, The Nine Yang manual seemed not as magical as the magic at first, but the magic of this scripture lies in learning it. After that, he learned other martial arts and was almost ready with half the effort. Beihe has the foundation of Juyang Sutra, and when she learns the swordsmanship taught by Li Yangziu, she can almost be said to be even more powerful. There are still more than half a month left before Pang Lily's engagement. In addition to practicing the Nine Yang manual at night, Lily will also dive into the sea at night. Whenever she dives into the sea, many ferocious-looking sea emperor beasts will appear. People came from all directions and surrounded her obediently. August 26th, please help me. Lily would say this every time she met a different sea king beast. Although these monsters were friendly to her, she didn't know if these sea emperor beasts would help her. But now she has no other choice but to come up with this idea. When she is too weak, she can only resort to external forces. Every time Lily thinks of this, she feels extremely uncomfortable in her heart. Mid-August soon came, and the sea was calm. Lily had already set sail and arrived at her destination a few days ago. There were already large and small pirate ships parked around her, including some Navy warships. But these were not seen on weekdays. The Navy and pirates, who would fight to the death when they arrive, are rare to be able to live in harmony at this moment. The originally boundless sea surface is now almost full of ships of all sizes, and the ships cover the entire sea surface. It's full, and not far away you can still vaguely see the shadow of the boat approaching, which is very lively. Pirates could be heard everywhere talking about the perfect match between Miss Pang and the youngest Lieutenant Colonel Mo Ang. Everyone had a look of envy on their faces. The pirate ship Lily was on was caught in the middle of a group of ships, and they heard others talking about Pang Lily. The praise made me gnash my teeth with hatred. She was not a relative of the Pang family, nor was she a famous pirate or other force on the sea, so her ship docked outside. However, because many ships came to congratulate her later, she was still trapped. In the middle of a sea of ships, Lily heard the most praises for Pang Lily every day. Occasionally, someone mentioned that the so-called benefactor in Pang Lily's mouth was actually just an unknown thief with no good intentions in everyone's eyes. With ridicule, and with a look of ridicule and anger and hatred in her heart, August 26th finally arrived. Lily was a little disappointed. Maybe it was because there were too many people here, so the Sea King beasts didn't show up. Even Aang Ang, who had been the closest to her, was nowhere to be seen. The morning sun shone on the sea. At this time, music started to play on the main ship of the Pang family. The nature mages did not know what method they used to make a rain of pink petals. Everyone tried their best to look in the direction of the main ship of the Pang family. Want to see the famous beauty Pang Lily, who is famous in the maritime world? Lily sat in the boat in despair. The front was densely packed with large ships. She couldn't see the scene in front, but she could imagine the joyful smile on Pang Lily's face at this moment. I thank God for allowing me to meet Moan. This must be God's arrangement. When it was Pang Lily's turn to speak, her affectionate confession was transmitted through the loudspeaker, and her gentle and sweet voice could be heard in every. It is intoxicating to human ears, and even many ferocious female pirates can't help but show gentle expressions. What's wrong? The lively scene in front of her made Lily's side more quiet. Li Yangziu walked to her and knelt down. Lily felt at ease for no reason at the moment. She leaned her head on Li Yangziu's arm and felt that Li Yangziu's body felt like at that moment. I froze, and couldn't help but laugh out loud. Brother Li, do you think I'm a joke this time? The Neptune beasts she thought she could rely on didn't show up. Lily wouldn't blame them. No matter how smart they were just beasts and might not understand the complexity of human nature. What's more, there were so many people in front of her. It's a pirate ship crowded together. No matter how powerful the Sea King beast is, what can a few Sea King beasts compare to? The Pang family specially invited 10 elemental mages for Pang Lily, their daughter, who was said to be like a little princess. They wanted to ensure the normal progress of the wedding and the safety of their daughter. In fact, between the Navy and the Pang family, no one dared to act rashly. After offending the Pang family and the Navy, no pirate dared to take this risk, not even many people dared. Why did the Sea King beasts appear here? No, as long as you do it, you won't regret it. Don't worry, I can't guarantee the future, but today I will definitely let you leave safely. No matter how you make trouble, Li Yangziu has been out for too long. People like him, he can't stay in this world for a long time, because the laws of the world cannot tolerate him. Even if he created this world, he still can't stay, otherwise the world will collapse because of this. He should have left long ago, but for some reason, he couldn't stay. He stopped leaving because of a certain person. This feeling made Li Yangziu feel a little wary, but unfortunately he couldn't stop doing such stupid things. But he couldn't delay it any longer. What he said was not a joke. He would send Lily away, but he would also leave. Li Yangziu couldn't say the next words. For some reason, after he said it, he always felt that other than the little girl, he might be reluctant to leave. Besides, he also felt a little regretful. Lily was originally feeling a little disappointed and uncomfortable. When she heard Li Yangziu's words, she suddenly felt a little clearer. Her eyes were still a little wet, but suddenly they lit up. She knew that Li Yangziu had always said after all these years, she has actually been unable to get to grips with Li Yangziu. If he could send her away, he would certainly be able to leave. With such a person behind her to support her, Lily somehow felt more confident. She stood up and saw Li Yangziu also standing up with a smile. Lily threw herself into his arms and hugged him hard. "Thank you. In addition to saving her at the beginning, he taught her many things. He was also a teacher, a friend, and a protector." Li Yangziu's body became a little stiff at first, and then softened. He reached out and touched Lily's head gently, sighed, and glanced in the direction of the Pang family with his slender eyes. The complex thoughts in his eyes were quickly absorbed. He disappeared and became dull again. Pang Lily on the other end was still talking about her love in a soft tone, and suddenly someone shouted in surprise, "The Commander-in-Chief is here, the Commander-in-Chief is here." Pang Lily's voice suddenly stopped, and there was a commotion in the pirate ship. Not far away, a white warship slowly drove towards the side. A group of extremely vicious pirates actually took the initiative to make way for a passage. The Navy, the collective, sang a military song, and amid the powerful singing, the warship drove towards the side. Lily couldn't see the scene on the other side, nor could she see the so-called marshals of the Navy who were being supported by everyone screaming. She smiled at Li Yangziu, took a deep breath, and flew up towards the Pang family. Direction beyond. "Pang Lily, I'm coming." Although she is not as good as others in spells, she has the foundation of Zhu-Yang divine skill, her original foundation of Qinggong, and her superb swordsmanship, so she still attracted some people's attention when she was flying in mid-air. Lily jumped to a standing on the top of the sail of the largest pirate ship. She suddenly smiled at the Pang family not far away. "Pang Lily, I'm here." She repeated it again, as if this was the only thing, the blocked emotions in her heart, it will feel a little more soothing. Standing on a high place and looking down, almost everything is in sight. Fortunately, the so-called Navy Marshal just arrived, so he attracted the attention of everyone present. There was no loudspeaker for Pang Lily to speak. Lily's words were it easily reached the ears of everyone present. To be continued. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan Erwr. Chapter 204. Lily was wearing a very ordinary cloth, carrying an inconspicuous slender sword on her back. Except for her wavy mouse-colored curly hair and her snow-white skin, which was not like a sea person, there was nothing noticeable about her body. The outstanding part cannot be compared with the exquisitely dressed little princess of the Pang family. If the crowd hadn't been hindered by the arrival of the commander, they would have started yelling at Lily. Moan glanced coldly at the top of his head at this moment, but he didn't bother to argue with Lily. He was still waiting for the commander's summons. The highest ruler in the naval world, who had made great military exploits and whose strength was unparalleled, suddenly appeared at his wedding venue. This made Moan feel the supreme honor. As for he really couldn't look down on the little bug that came out to disturb the situation, but if she dared to disturb such glory, he would never let her go. Lily looked down from a high place and naturally saw the commander's warship. She saw a man sitting in the ship wearing a white cloak, a golden tassel medal on his shoulder, and a navy wide-brimmed hat with his head lowered. She couldn't see it. Looking at the handsome man with a clear face, she felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity in her heart. However, her mind at this time was not on the naval commander, but on Pang Lily. Therefore, after she looked away, she did not notice that after hearing her voice, the commander stood up excitedly, took off the hat on his head, looked up and squinted at where she was. "Pang Lily, haven't you been looking for me? I'm already here, your so-called savior, you shameless woman who repays favor with revenge," Lily cursed, and finally breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. Pang Lily had a look of hurt on her face. Not seen for more than 10 years. Her face, which looked bright and innocent at first, now looked even more delicate and charming. The perfect makeup made her beautiful with a bit of holiness. The white wedding dress was worn on her body, outlining her slender figure. Tears welled up in her big eyes. She glanced at Lily and shook her head. Cried, "No, no, don't lie to me. My benefactor has long been buried in the sea. He was a little boy from the Black Pearl Pirates, and he is definitely not you." Now she is still talking about black pearls, and tears are flowing down like broken beads when she talks. Lily is furious, and the expressions of the Pang family are already very ugly. The head of the Pang family gave an order to the mage next to him with an ugly face, and a group of mage fell on Lily with gloomy expressions. "Pang Lily, how dare you talk nonsense now? I was originally kidnapped by the Black Pearl pirate ship because my servant was seriously injured and died. In order to survive, I had to hide myself in the pirate ship. I am also waiting for someone to come. Save me. For the sake of you being a girl, I risked being killed by pirates, hiding you in the kitchen of the pirate ship, and squeezing you out of my own meals every day to help you. How did you repay me?" Lily told this truth. The more she spoke, the more excited she became. Many people who looked down on her at first and thought she was a troublemaker couldn't help but calm down now, silently listen. The head of the Pang family looked a bit off, and hurriedly ordered to the mage beside him, "Kill her quickly, don't let her talk nonsense anymore and ruin my daughter's wedding. When the Navy came to the rescue, you didn't listen to my excuse. You insisted that I was a pirate. I was not a pirate. I was just a person held hostage by the Black Pearl ship. You deliberately ruined my reputation and almost had me arrested by Moan for tattooing sails. You said in front of everyone in the Black Pearl Pirates that I saved you, and you pretended to be innocent and pitiful. Have you ever thought that if I saved you like this, if you were tattooed like the Black Pearl Pirates? If we are locked together, what will happen to me?" Pang Lily's white face turned red, and she couldn't help lowering her head and crying softly. Moan put his arm around her shoulders, frowning and staring at Lily. "You forced me to jump into the sea on the spot, and you, a shameless person, posted advertisements everywhere saying that I was a pirate, and that you wanted to repay your kindness to me. Bah! You two were going to get married and it had nothing to do with me, but you shouldn't have used it. I'm here to use it as an excuse to make your Pang family's reputation good. I was kind to you, Pang Lily, but you didn't repay me. Instead, you slandered my reputation. You made me wander at sea all these years, a disgrace to my family. People who can't appear upright. Lily vented the bad breath in her heart. In addition to feeling refreshed, it seemed that the body of the original owner also had a surge of sadness and happiness from the resonance of the soul. She opened her mouth and invited the Pang family not far away. The mages have already started chanting spells. The sky turned dark quickly, and a huge black hand appeared in the space. Someone looked up and exclaimed, "The ghost hand of darkness, these people actually used the forbidden curse. Where can the Pang family get it? Is it worth it to come up with such a group of mages for such a little thief?" The hand quickly formed and grabbed Lily. If caught by this hand, the body would break into pieces and turn into air and dissipate into the world. Because the power is too powerful, and it is difficult to use this move. It's very easy, but after using it, a group of mages will soon lose their strength and fall to the ground. Everyone can't figure out why the Pang family would let someone use such a move without leaving any room to deal with an unknown guest. The man in the big cloak on the commander's ship stood up, and the cloak on his shoulders was shaken to the ground. He seemed to stand up, and in this move, the natural element masters collectively used it. Under the forbidden curse, there is no way to break it, and there is no way to escape. This black ghost hand will seize the target and crush it to pieces before disappearing. But a black figure was faster than the man, and rushed in front of Lily like lightning. The ghost hand that was supposed to grab Lily grabbed him. Lily was stunned for a moment, and saw Li Yangzia being grabbed by that giant hand. Just turned around and smiled at her, as if saying wait, then his body turned into foam. As the black ghost hand disappeared, he also turned into powder, and quickly dissipated, and the wind on the sea blowing, Lily stretched out her hand to grab it, but only caught a wisp of light cold air. No, Lily opened her mouth subconsciously, and she opened her hands blankly, as if she wanted to hug something, but in the end what she hugged was nothing. She wants to take revenge, but if the cost of taking revenge is to watch someone she cares about disappear before her eyes, she won't do it. If she had only been grateful, respectful, and close to Li Yangzia before, then seeing such a person who had been with her for more than 10 years die in front of her, Lily was shocked far beyond her imagination. Perhaps since many missions, no one has ever done this for her, so at that moment, the feeling in her heart changed. If it was originally a relationship of unfulfilled lovers, she suddenly fell into the most beautiful relationship in her youth. When time passes, it will surely become the pearl in her heart that she can never forget. The emotions began to change at this moment. Lily screamed, and suddenly the water shook, and many boats were shaken. "Hold head high!" The roars of a group of sea emperor beasts rang out, and the sound shook the heaven and the earth. Everyone was shocked to the point of sweetness. Even the elemental masters were shocked to the point of vomiting blood, and many ships were overturned. One by one, the Sea King beasts surfaced from the sea, and the people on the boat all fell into the water like dumplings, and they were all in an extremely embarrassed state. Huge herds of beasts appeared one after another, and they arrived a little late. However, Lily originally only said hello to a dozen familiar Sea King beasts and asked them for help, but she did not expect that there would be more than 100 people coming now. The moment she saw the Sea King beasts appearing one after another, Lily suddenly felt angry. Li Yangzia's sudden and mysterious death made her feel as if she had been stabbed by the world. She felt inexplicably as if she was injured, but where was the injury? She couldn't say it. She felt very angry. It was as if something had been lost and could never be found again. That feeling made Lily feel very irritable, and there was anger reverberating in her chest. "Pang Lily, I want you to die." The boat she was on was carried up by Ang Ang, and was surrounded by the Sea King beasts she had summoned before, some of which looked strange. They carried the boat she was riding on, holding her firmly on top of his head. He neighed from his mouth. Why did so many Sea King beasts appear? Many people were panicked. Even some powerful pirates couldn't help but panic when faced with so many Sea King beasts. Now they took a quick look. "Go, I'm afraid there are hundreds or even thousands of them." The super powerful Sea King beast, which is usually hard to see even one in the sea, will appear in so many at this moment. Even if a powerful and well-equipped navy encounters it, they can only seize it. Escape for your life. One Sea King beast has at least the strength of a naval colonel or above. There are thousands of Sea King beasts. Even if the commander is here, he will definitely not encounter these Sea King beasts. Everyone, run away. How come there are so many Sea King beasts? Someone exclaimed, but the ships were surrounded by the Sea King beasts and couldn't escape at all. The Pang family is going to die, and the mages are going to die. Lily stared at the group of mages from the Pang family with cold eyes. As soon as she spoke, the group of Sea Emperor beasts started chirping. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Few people dared to fight against the Sea King beast. Even if they were a strong pirate group, they would suffer heavy losses even if they won the battle with the Sea King beast. Now like this it seems that the duo High Emperor beast was summoned by that strange girl. This is something that no one has heard of in the world for thousands of years, and no one has done it at all, but now a seemingly an ordinary girl did it easily. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 205. Commander, in this situation, please retreat first, and your subordinates will think of a solution later. A panic-looking Marine lowered his head and knelt in front of the commander, who stood with his arms crossed. The situation in front of him was obviously out of control. The Pang family has already panicked. Lieutenant General Moan can no longer control the scene. Even if the commander has the ability to fight, he is the hope of the entire empire and cannot tolerate even a little accident on his part. The entire navy on the warship thought so. They would use their lives to protect this man until the last moment. No need. The man waved his hand, with a bit of relief and joy in his tone, which seemed to be mixed with a bit of excitement. The naughty child has finally appeared after hiding for so long. When the soldier was a little confused, Moan was already looking at the group of Sea Emperor beasts in front of him, and his scalp was numb. Little girl, even if Lily misunderstood you that day, you are not dead. Now you are making such a fuss. Why is there such a big battle? I, Moan, swear in the name of Lieutenant General that as long as you withdraw today, we will pretend that nothing happened and the Navy will never make things difficult for you. It's too late. After he died, everything was too late. Lily sneered at the scene in front of her, feeling angry for no reason in her heart. If I just wanted to vent my anger at the beginning, then my mind has changed now. The Pang family killed him. I know you have the means, but even if I cannot survive today, I will never let the Pang family go. In front of so many people, what Moan just said almost seemed like he was apologizing to Pang Lily in person, but Lily didn't appreciate it, which made Moan feel a little unhappy. His face turned cold. Little girl, don't toast me and eat the fine wine. I just don't want to cause more harm. I'm not really afraid of you. Even if the Sea King beast is outstanding, don't think that with the Sea King beast, I am really afraid of you. You are just a little pirate, and even if I execute you on the spot today, it will be justified. After hearing what he said, Lily closed her eyes. She thought of Li Yangziu's sudden death just now, and felt an inexplicable dull pain in her heart. Her eyes became colder. She was about to let these Sea Emperor beasts destroy the Pang family, even if the final result was that she would never be able to survive again. Even if she dies here today. Ziahe, a gentle male voice rang in the distance, and there were gasping sounds all around, but Lily did not turn her head to look. She just looked at Pang Lily, who looked injured, and the one who was protecting her. Moang said, I'm not afraid of how you will deal with me, but I still want to clarify. I was not a pirate before, and Pang Lily wronged me to fulfill her reputation. She killed my companions who depended on each other for life. Since the Navy wants to fight with the Pang family cooperate, then just think I'm a pirate now. She had been fighting for this title for more than 10 years, and now she suddenly let it go. Lily felt relieved for no reason. She just didn't want to be wronged. The accusation of injustice given to her by Pang Lily made her hold it for more than 10 years. If the same is true for the original owner. Lily knew how she felt in her heart, but now she couldn't bear it. If the original owner hated Pang Lily, Lily could really understand that feeling. The Sea King beasts seemed to feel Lily's anger, and they all became a little restless. The battle cannons in the Navy warship had been set up. Lily's eyes fell on the group of elemental masters. He had just summoned the ghost hand, and it had already having used up most of their mana. No matter how capable the mage was, the faces of these people now showed a bit of fatigue. Lily's eyes showed murderous intent. For the first time, she wanted to kill someone because of her own feelings, not to complete the task for the original owner. She rushed towards the elemental mage, and Moan sneered, "You don't overestimate your capabilities." The neat turrets were aimed at her, and Lily's figure was like lightning. At this moment, the swordsmanship that she had practiced hard for more than 10 years finally exerted its due power at this moment. Moan's thin sword was drawn out, and he was now in the middle. At the general level, even many well-known big pirates may not be able to get benefits from him. An unknown little thief was able to jump into the sea and escape before he even drew his sword. Now, even if it is 13 years later, and it should be the same. Trash, Moan sneered, the corners of his mouth curled up, and his eyes showed murderous intent. He looked at Lily as if he were looking at a dead person. Lily originally aimed at a group of mages, but now Moan stood in front of them. She had to deal with the person in front of her first. Over the years, she has been practicing sword practice, but she has never really fought with anyone. Lily can still remember the oppression that Moan gave her back then. She used her inner strength, and the sword gave off a faint light. Even in the scorching Sunday underneath, it is still clearly visible. Great swordsman, Moan's pupils shrank, and for the first time there was a cautious look in his eyes. This woman who had not been in his eyes actually had the strength of a great swordsman after not seeing each other for more than 10 years. Although he didn't know where she learned the swordsmanship, but Moan was not ready to fight with her alone for a moment. Even if he could match Lily's strength, today was his big day, and he was not preparing to get hurt during the wedding. Mo Ong wisely took 2 steps back and shouted, "Somebody come." As soon as he finished speaking, a group of Marines with spears rushed up, blocking Moan from behind. Being able to use the simplest method to deal with people, Moan has always disdained using complicated methods. Pang Lily was protected behind him with her beautiful face pale, even though she was bright and elegant, but in this situation, there is no doubt that she is no longer the one who caught the eye made her inevitably feel jealous. She glared at the woman whose appearance was not as exquisite as hers, but who was now infinitely more beautiful. She stared at the group of Sea Emperor beasts jealously, feeling in her heart, "I can't help but think how great it would be if I was the one who could command these Sea King beasts." Lily tried her best to get injured and originally wanted to kill this group of people and then kill the elemental mages, but suddenly Moan let out a horrified cry, "Commander!" Even after hearing Mo Ong's shouts, Lily actually did not take this so-called commander into consideration. No matter how high his status was in the Navy, it had nothing to do with her. Although she felt a little jealous because of Mo Ong's words, it stung a lot, but after realizing that there was no sense of danger behind her, she rushed towards the elemental mage. In the past 10 years, under Li Yangzio's training, her strength was not as weak as she imagined. The mage who originally seemed a bit mysterious in Lily's heart was not as strong as she imagined. When Lily drew her sword, she didn't even have enough time to recite the spell, but she was so vulnerable that she killed him with her sword. With the death of the first person, this group of aloof mages quickly became a little panicked. What mages represent in this world is supreme strength and respected status. Generally, if mages and swordsmen face off, if they are of the same level, mages will definitely overwhelm the swordsman, but this group of mages just used a powerful weapon. Because of the curse, they were no match for Lily at this moment. For some reason, The Pang family didn't seem to react at this moment, and no one stopped her from going for revenge. After killing all the mages one by one, Lily turned around and wanted to find the Pang family. After killing her enemies, even if the Navy wanted to kill her, she had no other wish. She had tried her best to complete the mission of the original owner, and hoped that it was completed. If she really went in the wrong direction, then she could only blame herself for being so unlucky on this mission, and she was at her wit's end. When Lily turned around, she saw a middle-aged man with an upright face and short, wavy, maroon hair. He was wearing a straight navy uniform and was standing behind her, looking at her with excitement in his eyes. Moan's rapier beside him had been broken into several pieces and fell to the ground. There were broken guns everywhere. It can be imagined that this middle-aged man had solved a lot of troubles for Lily before she turned around. "Commander, why? She is just a pirate," Moan was restrained by a group of Navy. At this time, his neatly combed hair appeared a little messy, and his handsome face looked a bit embarrassed. With so many people coming to congratulate him, he, a very happy man who was about to get married, was actually captured by the highest commander in the Navy on the day of such auspicious events. No matter how calm Moan was and how clear he was that the authority of the man in front of him was unquestionable, he couldn't help but speak. "Does the commander want to help the pirates?" "She is not a pirate," the middle-aged handsome man gave Lily a gentle look, and then frowned. "Vice Admiral Moan, the Navy should not be influenced by selfish motives when arresting people. This person is not a pirate." "You are wrong. She actually almost had her tattooed and sold her as a slave. To treat a citizen of the Empire like this, Lieutenant General Moan, don't you feel guilty?" The middle-aged man's voice was somewhat unique. When he spoke, no one on the entire sea dared to make a sound. Even some pirates who were soaked in the water listened to his teachings humbly. In this world of the sea, some people question the admiral's words, and some people can offend the Navy's prestige, but only the man in front of him is absolutely convinced by everyone. When he opened his mouth to speak, the Poseidon beasts also fell silent. Lily remained silent and did not make a sound. She was now surrounded by an inexplicable feeling that made her feel very uncomfortable. Why does the commander think that she is not a pirate? When my subordinate personally captured her in the Black Pearl pirate ship, even if he had to execute her on the spot, according to the laws of the Empire, his subordinate definitely did nothing wrong. Moan was a little unwilling. Being arrested in front of so many people today, not only does it cost him face, but more importantly, he is afraid that the commander will arrest him like this in public, and he may also have the intention to strip him of his lieutenant general position. If this is the case, come on, hasn't his hard work for all these years been in vain? What's more, even if the commander doesn't take him, his prestige will be wiped out. How can he, a lieutenant general, convince others from now on? To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 206. Even if he understands that the prestige of the middle-aged man in front of him in the Empire is unquestionable, even if Moan understands that even if he wins the battle today, the residents of the Empire will have objections to him, but for the sake of his future, in order to prevent himself from being, even though he was in a weak position, he still couldn't help but speak. Moan didn't understand how the commander could speak for an ordinary little pirate. Even if his performance just now was a bit stronger, others should understand him when he was disrupted at his wedding, but the commander actually spoke for an ordinary little pirate. When the little thief came forward, Moang felt a little scared and a little dissatisfied. "It's just that you didn't hear her speak seriously, and you didn't give her a chance to speak, so she couldn't really tell the cause and effect." The middle-aged man looked a little more excited now, took a small step towards Lily, and rushed. She stretched out her hand, with a friendly look in her eyes. "Just because she is. Your Excellency, she is really a pirate. I spent a few days with her on the Black Pearl pirate ship." Pang. Lily was hiding behind Moan. Once Moan was captured and pinned to the ground, she would not people blocked it, and now it appeared in front of everyone. It was okay for Moan to talk to the marshal. After all, this was a conversation between senior leaders of the Navy. But Moan did not dare to interrupt the Lord when he was talking to the marshal. Pang Lily actually dared to interrupt him. Many people couldn't help but feel a bit disgusted with this pearl of the empire, but because the commander was still there, no one dared to say a word, but in their hearts, they no longer blindly worshipped Pang Lily as before. Like it, but became a little disgusted. The middle-aged man's eyes fell lightly on Pang Lily. There was no murderous intention in his eyes, but he was a man who had been in the upper position for a long time. Even if he just glanced at Pang Lily lightly at this moment, it still brought endless pressure to her. Pang Lily couldn't help but take a few steps back, her pretty face turning pale. Such an unbearable behavior was inconsistent with the indifference and elegance she had always shown in the past, and many people saw it without making a sound. Some newspaper reporters had quietly started conducting interviews and took photos of this scene. "I haven't finished speaking yet. It's not a lady's behavior to interrupt someone while they're talking, Miss Pang. I'm afraid the title of Pearl of the Empire is a bit strong for you." The middle-aged man frowned and finished speaking. After that, he didn't look at Pang Lily's little face, which suddenly lost all color. After all, everyone knew the weight of what he said. But the middle-aged man didn't care about this. He was just an ordinary father who wanted to vent his anger for his daughter, so he quickly set his sights on Lily again and pursed his lips. "Naughty child, come back soon. Come to daddy." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone made a hissing sound and took a breath. Many people stared at Lily in disbelief. He also stared at this man who could cause huge shocks in the empire even if he just stamped his feet. Speechless. Moan's eyes widened, and his face suddenly turned pale. For the first time, there was a look of despair in his eyes. Even after the middle-aged man had someone take him down, he stretched out his hand and broke his string. Jian, he didn't have such despair. He always thought there was still a glimmer of hope, but now his eyes revealed naked despair. "Commander." Moan didn't know what he was talking about at this moment. He just opened his mouth and made a dry sound in his throat, but the man ignored him. At this moment, he didn't even want to look at it again. Moan didn't show any interest at all. If he hadn't wanted to be sure when he discovered his daughter just now, and blocked the attacks of these people for Lily, which wasted his time talking to his daughter, he wouldn't have wanted to waste so much time talking to Moan. She is not a pirate, just because she is my daughter, my only daughter. My surname is Yu. I swear to God, Lieutenant General Moan, you have arrested the wrong person. You have wronged a good citizen of the Empire." The man gave Mo Ang a cold look. If he hadn't had strong self-control now, he might have stopped him as early as the moment he discovered the truth and discovered that Mo Ang and Pang Lily had prevented his father and daughter from recognizing each other. He already wanted to strangle these two people to death in front of him. He had heard of Pang Lily's reputation before, but the middle-aged man never thought that the humble pirate in the story was his daughter. He always thought that his daughter could not be a pirate. For Pang Lily, the so-called Pearl of the Empire, the young man never paid attention to her, so he didn't read her news. As a result, he and his daughter were separated for such a long time, and it was only now that the father and daughter met. 13 years away from home, Zia, can't you remember the way home? When these people want to accuse you wrongly, why don't you say that your surname is Yu and that you are my only daughter? You lying." The middle-aged man thought of what Lily just said, and then thought of Pang Lily's reputation for repaying kindness over the years. When he had never met her before, he just felt that the Pang family was putting on too much of a show. Now that he knew that Pang Lily had been, it was his daughter who was stepping on you, and the man couldn't help showing a look of distress in his eyes. "The Pang family wants to step on you and rise to the top. Why don't you find a chance to tell Dad? Where is Yubo? Wherever others are, This is how they protect you. Lily was stunned at this moment. Due to some special reasons when receiving memories, she did not receive the plot. There was also no memory of the original owner in her mind. She didn't know what kind of family members she had. She naturally recognized it at this moment. I can't tell who the middle-aged man in front of me is. Just because you are angry with your father, is it worth it for you, kid? This middle-aged man, who was admired by many people in the empire, could not help but reveal a somewhat proud and complicated look in his eyes. He wanted to get closer to Lily, but he looked afraid. Many people who had seen his appearance in newspapers had never seen him like this. Yubo died 13 years ago, at the hands of the Black Pearl pirates. In order to survive, I had to work as an oddball on the pirate ship, hoping that one day I would be rescued. But one day I waited, and the result was, I was forced to jump into the sea. Fortunately, I was rescued and am alive today. I also thought about going ashore, but Pang Lily released the news about me to the world. After she found me, she wanted to tattoo me as slaves were sold, and then she rescued me from slavery in the name of the Savior. In this way, she might gain prestige and status. How could I dare to appear in front of others? Lily did not expect that at this time, when I thought I was destined to die, I unexpectedly met the original owner's family. If I could recognize Yubehi's original family, maybe I could make up for it even if I went in the wrong direction on the mission. But she didn't feel happy at all at this moment. For this mission, she actually let Li Yangxiu die to save her. This was something that had never happened before in many previous missions. At this time, she felt exhausted physically and mentally. If she hadn't insisted on speaking out like this, if she hadn't thought that the mission might be at this point, she wouldn't have caused Li Yangxiu to disappear in front of her, and in such a way. If both of them were alive many years later, she might not be moved by Li Yangxiu or sad about a strange man who appeared during the mission. But it was before everything happened, so she had not experienced everything. That kind of ignorant feeling is like a flower that is destroyed abruptly before it really blooms and withers. It was like a hard blow to give her a state of mind that was not that deep to begin with, something that might not have turned into emotion. It was unforgettable at that moment. I just want to come to the Pang family to ask for justice. If the final justice is just like this, then maybe I shouldn't come, Lily said softly in despair, but at this moment, the Pang family's boat was still carrying the expansion vessel. Even her soft murmur reached everyone's ears through the loudspeaker. At first, the audience present naturally saw the scene where the strange man rescued Lily. At first, they thought that these two people dared to destroy Miss Pang Lily's wedding, so they deserved to die. Now, after discovering that Pang Lily is not necessarily so innocent, everyone's feelings towards her suddenly became complicated. They had admired and liked her so much in the past. After discovering the truth, many people felt angry as if they had been deceived, especially when Lily's identity was the handsome Yu. After Li Yang's daughter, it proved what Pang Lily said in the past, that the person who was kind to her was a little pirate, and her words of wanting to repay her were all lies. The handsome daughter does not need to become a pirate. If she wants to become a pirate, she will be the only pirate in the world that no navy dares to catch. And she does not need Pang Lily's repayment. Even Pang Lily forced this for the sake of her own reputation. Many people have their own opinions on the separation of father and daughter for more than 10 years. Looking at Pang Lily now, they feel that it is very hypocritical, and they feel a little bored. Ziahe, Daddy is sorry for you. I was busy with work and your mother died young. I knew you needed my company, but I ignored you. Dad swears in the future that he will never pay you the compensation he owed you like before. Come back, my daughter, give me a chance to make up for the fact that I failed to fulfill my duties as a father and failed to protect you, causing you to suffer a lot at such a young age. The most powerful and aloof man in the empire was now like the most ordinary father in the world, begging for his daughter's forgiveness. If Yu Liang hadn't been put on the altar by everyone because of his identity, If he hadn't been worshipped by almost the entire empire because of his super strength, then it is possible that Yu Liang's low words at this moment might still be, it wouldn't be so touching, but after anyone saw a strong man with iron-blooded methods, who was respected and admired, he just wanted his daughter to come back to him, and the culprit of all this turned out to be Pang Lily. Everyone quickly they felt a little dissatisfied with the Pang family, especially the navy, and they were even more dissatisfied with the woman of the Pang family who was known as the Pearl of the Empire. The commander-in-chief caused Miss Yu to be killed by the Black Pearl pirates because of the empire. Miss Yu should have reunited with the commander-in-chief and his daughter earlier. "Miss Pang, why did you stop me?" someone couldn't help but ask Pang first. Lily complained. At this moment, the eyes of everyone looking at Pang Lily no longer had the enthusiasm and admiration they had before. They all turned into disgust and coldness. Pang Lily opened her mouth, with a look of panic on her face. She has been living in this world all these years. Under the aura of respect from everyone, she was flattered by others. Once others changed their expressions towards her, she became a little panicked and waved her hand subconsciously. I didn't know she was the handsome daughter. I don't know. Then why do you know that Miss Yu is a pirate?" A close general of Yu Liang in the navy couldn't help asking. Pang Lily couldn't help but break down and cry. She cried so hard that Liwa bring rain. The figure swayed. He sat down on the ground as if he couldn't hold himself up any longer. She covered her face and cried in pain, "Don't force me, I don't know." Her voice was extremely low and sounded very endearing, but the general had a look of boredom on his face. I guess it was because of Miss Pang's appearance that she still appeared as a victim after harming others, right? It's not you who should cry now. If Miss Pang hadn't been so lucky, she would have died under your cunning plot. Kill her! Kill her! Kill her! Shouts came one after another. Pang Lily's face turned pale, and she shook her head in panic. At this moment, her fiancé, whom she thought she had been in love with her whole life, was staring at her with resentful eyes, obviously blaming her for not saying anything in the first place. It was clear that he had ended up like this. Mong is very ambitious. He wants to climb to a higher position. Now that he has caused him to fall into this situation, he cannot help himself. But the people who used to admire him now looked at Pang Lily with no warmth in their eyes. Instead they only had endless disgust and murderous intent. These people are also unreliable. The Pang family had all stayed away from her since she had made the public angry. Especially the killing of the 10 elemental mages made his father, the head of the Pang family, look frightened. At this juncture, almost all the people Pang Lily considered reliable in the past have gone their separate ways when disaster strikes. The commander-in-chief didn't even look at him. Pang Lily didn't know why, but his eyes fell on the face of the girl who had her head lowered and a look of confusion on her face. Thinking that she looked like this back then, she still remembered that the little girl who appeared from below the deck of the Black Pearl pirate ship with an oil lamp also looked like this. In fact, Pang Lily always knew that she was a girl. She hid on Lily's bed, knowing that it was not something a boy could have. She also guessed this after Lily saved her. Girls generally have a soft heart. Pang Lily could see that even the calmest girl could not help but feel soft-hearted because of the pleading of a girl of the same sex. From this, she was more sure of Lily's identity. Because he makes a living at sea, a boy who grows up in a pirate's den will not have clear eyes like Lily. At that time, Pang Lily was a little confused. She didn't understand why she would be bullied by the leader of the pirate ship, while another girl could live safely in that place. She had been loved since she was a child. As Pang's daughter, no one could she loves her more than anyone else, so she doesn't like the feeling of others bullying her but not others, so she knows that Lily may not be with the pirates, and she knows that Lily may also be robbed like herself. But at that juncture, when Moang came to save her, Pang Lily somehow lied. She could have saved Lily, with just a simple word, but she still didn't say what Lily wanted to hear. Maybe she was afraid that the young and handsome Navy would be like the leader of the pirate ship and let Lily go. The little pirate, she wanted to be the only one in the eyes of others, rather than being their foil, so she said something in an innocent tone that could kill Lily. Pang Lily was actually very young at that time, and she had also felt guilty, but her proud character made her have no regrets. She only thought that after the girl who had saved her life became a slave, she would help Lily one more time. He bought her and kept her in Pang's house, becoming his personal slave. But she really didn't expect that some people were far more staunch than she imagined. Lily jumped into the sea, which aroused Mo Ang's interested eyes. She was afraid that Lily would appear again, so she used the Pang family's money to prevent her from appearing again. On the shore, and using this act of repaying a favor to add luster to himself, 13 years have passed. "Miss you, please help me, I didn't." At such a critical moment, Pang Lily's eyes flashed with a trace of tenderness. She thought of many things that she had deliberately forgotten back then, as if others were praising her. As pure as the sky, she tried hard to forget those disgraceful dark thoughts, but now she remembered them. Just like before, she knelt in front of Lily, using the same posture and the same pitiful tone, saying that she wanted Lily to save her life. Her wish was fulfilled and the truth was revealed to the world, but at the cost of a human life. Lily suddenly felt a little bored, and she didn't even look at Pang Lily. He turned around and was about to jump towards the Sea King beast. "She can live in the sea. I can deal with monsters and don't have to face these scheming humans. I just hope that my life can be like before, drifting on the sea. If I can't die, I can live with that person's share." Ziahe, the middle-aged man, stood in front of his daughter in a panic, as is the nature of father and daughter. The moment he saw it for the first time, he was sure that this was his daughter who had been missing for more than 10 years. He originally thought that the father and daughter would be reunited now, even though he had neglected his only daughter due to official business, which made her she fell into the hands of pirates and failed to rescue her in time over the years. This commander, who had a high reputation in the Empire in the past, was so powerful that even the appearance of so many Sea King beasts did not panic him. At this time, I saw Lily's indifference. For the first time, there was an anxious look in his eyes. "Ziahe, come back with me. What I wanted before. I have got it, but unfortunately I don't want it now." Lily didn't know how to tell this middle-aged man. She could feel the despair of the original owner. Although she had no memory, she could. The moment she saw this middle-aged man, complex feelings instinctively surged through her heart, making her unable to help but sympathize with the original owner. In the plot, if Yu Beihe and Yu Liang were also dependent on each other, then she would have felt so uncomfortable when she fell into the pirate den, was likely to be stabbed, and was framed by Pang Lily. Although the family was found in the end, it was always too late for the original owner. "Dad is at fault, but my dear daughter, give me a chance." The middle-aged man stared at Lily cautiously. At this moment, he was no longer the aloof commander of the Imperial Navy, but just a father who wanted to beg his daughter for forgiveness. Lily thought of the original owner and saw the pleading look in the man's eyes. This mission made her feel far more tired than the previous missions. Lily finally dispersed the Sea King beast herd, said goodbye to these belated friends one by one, and left with Yu Liang. If this was one of the original owner's wishes, then she would naturally make it happen for him. Although Pang Lily did not die in the end, unfortunately the outcome was not so good. The Pang family's reputation was lost overnight. Pang Lily, the so-called little princess of the empire, now sounded like a joke and irony. The news was covered in newspapers, but Pang Lily's respect and love were never mentioned again. The next day, several newspapers in the empire wrote the same title: "The Real Princess Returns, and There Is Someone Else Who Is the Pearl of the Empire." A former pirate turned out to be the daughter of a handsome man, and the Pang daughter sought fame and framed others. What kind of story is hidden behind the repayment of kindness? In addition to photos and videos, the news spread all over the world in an instant. People who knew the truth angrily condemned the Pang family and cursed Pang Lily. The Pang family, which was famous in the empire at first, has since disappeared. 2 years later, Yu Liang resigned as the commander-in-chief of the empire and lived with his daughter at sea. While this move shocked the entire empire, they thought of the father and daughter who had been separated for many years due to Pang Lily's interference. Yu Liang did not cause any disgust. The two fathers and daughters became the presence recognized by the empire at sea. At the end of her life, Lily always thought of that young man with gorgeous clothes and cold temperament, as if he was still standing on the bow of the ship. The starry sky was still the same as before. Somehow, Lily breathed a sigh of relief when she returned to the starry sky. She smiled bitterly as if she had overcome the fatigue all over her body. You're back. Li Yangzi's figure reappeared in the starry sky after a while. Although his expression was as cold as ever, there was a flash in his eyes. Congratulations, the mission is completed. To be continued. P.S. Some girls say that the author is unkind. The author will never admit this accusation, so I will update it 3 times today. The 2 updates are combined into one. Send the 2 updates first instead of sending them separately, so as not to whet everyone's appetite. Is this so kind? Everyone has voted for me. A lot of little fans in the past 2 days. The Lun family is so grateful. Ying ying ying, this is a special reward for everyone. It is purely for adding updates and has no other purpose. In the last few days, there have been many small fans. Fanboys, stop hiding it. The next chapter is at 7 o'clock. In addition, the early stage of this story is actually to pave the way for the subsequent plot, but I have gradually revealed the clues before, but some children may not have noticed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 207. Hearing such words, Lily didn't feel very happy, she just nodded reluctantly. Seeing her like this, Li Yangzi pursed his lips in confusion. This unfamiliar emotion caught him off guard. He was silent for a long time before he said firmly, Yu Bei's wish is to you did it to ruin Pang Lily's reputation, and Mo Ang. I know. Lily didn't feel so ecstatic when she heard that her mission was in the right direction. Seeing her like this, Li Yangzi hesitated for a moment, stepped forward and touched Lily's head. She raised her head in confusion. He had never done such a thing in the starry sky, but in another world, he had done so many times. A large number of memories and plots poured into her mind, and Yu Bei's original life was replayed in her mind. Just like what Lily imagined, a little girl met her when her father was busy with political affairs and neglected her. The pirate group has since become a member of the pirate ship, saving Pang Lily, but was eventually sold by the tattoo. The original owner's life was even more miserable than Lily imagined. She was tattooed and became a slave. She no longer dared to say who her father was, for fear that her current appearance would discredit her father and make his aloof father suffer. Shame, when she was being transported away by the Navy, she was insulted by the Black Pearl pirates, and all kinds of unbearable shame appeared on her. When she was young, her body and mind suffered a huge blow, and she almost collapsed. It was Moan who helped her unintentionally, and the girl's heart gradually fell on him. It was not until many years later that Pang Lily became a socialite in the empire, just like what Lily saw later. Marry Moan. Yu Lily once plucked up the courage to express her gratitude to Mo Ang and tell her love before the two got engaged. But she was humiliated by Mo Ang, and Pang Lily appeared later and told her that in fact, Pang Lily had deliberately said that she was a pirate and recognized her as a girl, but Pang Lily didn't like her, so she borrowing her reputation to become Pang Lily, This incident was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Yubehi couldn't support it. Her body had been hollowed out during the years of being a slave, and she died miserably before Moang and Pang Lily got married. The original owner hated Pang Lily for causing everything that happened, and she also hated Moang for refusing to save him. She also regretted her waywardness in leaving Yubo alone. All in all, Lily fulfilled all her wishes by accident. So you completed this mission very well, and the original owner is very satisfied, and she also wants to repay you. So I will give you 2 points in total. Where do you want to add them? Li Yangzi waited patiently and quietly for Lily to finish receiving the plot. Then he asked softly. Lily's expression was a little strange at this time. She frowned and shook her head, a little flustered. Why isn't he? There is no figure in the plot, and there is no big pirate named Li Yangzio in Yubehi's memory. Although most of the original pirate owners in the world may not know each one, it is impossible for Li Yangzio to be such a powerful pirate. An unknown person, and since he will appear in her life this time, he should also be in the plot. Lily keenly felt something was wrong at this moment, and subconsciously raised her head and looked at Li Yangzi. Why isn't he there? Li Yangzi's face stiffened, and he did not answer the question. He just asked again, where do you want to add the attribute value? Lily's eyelids drooped and she was quiet for a while, then she whispered softly, put it on mentally. Seeing her like this and seeing Lily calm down, Li Yangzi felt a little uncomfortable, but he quickly suppressed his weird emotions and nodded gently. Lily's information reappeared in the starry sky. Gender, female, variable. Name, Lily. Age, 21. Intelligence, 64, out of 100. Appearance, 64, out of 100. Physical strength, 62, 100 full points. Force, 33, out of 100 points. Spirit, 21, out of 100 points. Reputation, 17, out of 100 points. Skills, 9 Yang Manual, 9 Yin Manual, Heaven and Earth Gate Tao Te Ching, Southern Gu Technique. Specialties, Intermediate Cooking Skills, Advanced Acting Skills, 5 Elements, and Bagua Skills. Charisma, 35, out of 100. Collection, Corpse King's Love, Saint's Blessing, Angel's Heart, Dragon King's Promise. Although the attribute values have not increased significantly this time, the force, spirit, and reputation have increased respectively, and the charm has also increased a little. The relationship between the increase in reputation and charm, Lily guessed that it should be that in this mission, he performed for the original owner. After being angry, because the original owner's father was already respected, her reputation and charm also increased. In the past, she might have been happy, but now she really couldn't laugh. She was silent for a while, then he said to Li Yangzi. Can I take a break? Of course Li Yangzi nodded and saw Lily smiling softly at him, then she sat cross-legged on the ground, held her chin up and started to sit up. At this moment, Li Yangzi felt that she might not like someone staring at her, but he didn't want to leave, so he stayed silent for a while. Lily seemed to want to ask something, but in the end she still didn't speak. The person in the mission, Lily, wanted to ask if it really existed. She was a little shaken, but this was undoubtedly contrary to what she wanted to yearn for. She still endured it in the end. When she opened her eyes again, Lily had already entered the plot. After resting for a while, she still buried the name Li Yangzio in her heart and chose to carry out the mission. This time, no one bothered her when she was receiving memories. She closed her eyes quietly by herself, and a lot of plots poured into her mind. This time she entered Liazai and became an insignificant fox demon in Liazai. In Liazai, apart from the stories about female ghosts, the most common ones are the love stories between foxes and scholars. This time, the situation is similar. Her body is with a scholar, but it is different from ordinary stories. The situation where the fox is a righteous fox is different, and it is not like the original owner who was a harming fox at first, but was finally influenced by the seduced scholar. She, the fox, is just a very embarrassing existence in this plot. The original owner is the third among a group of fox sisters and is known as Sunyang. Because of her young age, she does not have a name now. For a fox, there are countless children, grandchildren, cousins, brothers, sisters, and other relatives in a litter. The sorrow of the original owner's life was related to one of his cousins, Huang Julang. This man was handsome in appearance. Because the original owner, and Hu Sunyang, was in poor health, Huang Julang often came from the East Wilderness to visit his seriously ill mother. During these visits, he was spotted by a scholar who liked Long Yang. This person's surname is He, Xiao Yuan, a famous teacher and alias, is a well-known person in the local area. He is a classmate of many officials and officials. In addition, he is well read in poetry and books, so when Huang Julang first saw him, also has a good impression of him. Foxes are inherently charming. In addition, once foxes become human beings, there are very few ugly people. Most of the foxes are men and beautiful women. So He Shishan originally he was not a serious person, and he had always been reclusive, so when he saw Huang Julang, he was shocked. He forced him into the house several times and teased him with words. At first, Huang Julang was very disgusted with this person, thinking that his behavior was frivolous and had no good feelings towards him. But at first, if it was said that He Xiao only liked Huang Julang because of his appearance, but as time went by, but because he had never succeeded, he was more sincere. After repeated back and forth, Huang Julang was no match for his shamelessness and rogueness, and in the end he still committed to him. It's just that the intercourse between men and women complements each other. It would be better if both men are good people. At this time, most scholars regarded prostitutes as beautiful. It was not shameful to raise a young boy and be fond of dragon and yang, so the world did not pay attention to this matter. What prejudices there are, but they are all turned into romantic gossip. He Xiao didn't take it seriously at first, he just felt that Huang Julang's beauty was really charming, and gradually he became more fascinated by him. As time went by, Huang Julang could not bear to be entangled with him, but he was also a little moved by his relationship. Sincerely, but the friendship between the two went against God's will. In the end, He Xiao was riddled with ghosts and poisons, evil spirits entered his body, and finally his soul left his body and died. But because he had not yet expired, the judge simply allowed him to be reborn as his former classmate, the county magistrate. After he was reborn, he was still deeply affectionate for Huang Julang, which moved Huang Julang so much. However, when He Xiao asked to have a good relationship with Huang Julang again, Huang Julang rejected him. Although humans and demons have different paths, if the yin and yang between humans and demons complement each other, then the couple's London sexual intercourse is not only harmful to both parties, but may actually be beneficial to each other. Although Huang Julang is a fox at the moment, he can because of He Xiao's deep affection for him, he actually felt some true admiration in his heart. Therefore, even if he still liked He Xiao, he couldn't bear to harm him anymore, so he thought of it. He came up with a way, which was to introduce the outstanding-looking Hu Sunyang among his cousins to He Xiao. He Xiao did not agree at first, but when Huang Julang sternly refused, and the matter was related to his own life, the ant was still greedy for life. If his body was not involved in the lawsuit, he might not survive. As for the will to rebirth and die, when I heard Huang Julang said that there was a beautiful woman to send him, and Huang Julang once mentioned that the beauty was not only beautiful, but also smart and intelligent, she must have a way to solve his problems, so I reluctantly decided agreed. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 208. It's just that Huang Zhulang thought about his lover and couldn't bear to let him be poisoned by the demon again, so he wanted to find a beautiful wife for him. Although he said it with confidence, it was not sure whether Hu Sunyang could like He Zixiao. Long Yangzi didn't mind as much as before, but after all, he had had such a relationship with He Zixiao. In addition, although He Zixiao's body was young and he was admitted to the Hanlin Academy at the age of 17, his appearance was, generally speaking, in addition to having married a wife and having children, Hu Sunyang might mind it in terms of reputation, so the two people came up with a way, that is, Huang Zhulang deceived Hu Sunyang to He Zixiao, and asked He Zixiao to cheat her. After raping her, she had no choice but to get her body to forgive her. When the time came, she would have no choice but to marry him. Things developed as the two expected. Although Hu Sunyang can transform into a human, in fact, in this plot, the fox is not as capable as imagined. The cultivation of monsters is much more difficult than that of humans. In addition, He Zixiao is people who study, people who pay attention to reading in this world have great righteousness, which is a magic weapon to restrain evil spirits. In addition, Hu Sunyang has been practicing for many years, but after all, because she is still young, she is only 13 or 14 when converted into human years. He was only 10 years old, so how could He Zixiao, a man who had already been married and had children since his rebirth, be so powerful? In addition, Huang Zhulang took her servants away early in the morning, so she cried out to heaven and earth, but it was still He Zixiao who accomplished the good thing. Although Hu Sunyang was quite unwilling after the incident, Yuan Yin had been taken away by He Zixiao. In addition, Huang Zhulang persuaded him with his tongue like a lotus flower. He only mentioned that this person used to be the famous scholar He Zixiao, but his soul left his body after death. He just became the current Taishi. He also mentioned that although the original Taishi had heirs left behind, but his wife had already committed suicide. After such persuasion, the deal was done, so Hu Sunyang had no choice but to swallow the bitter pill. She didn't know why He Zixiao died before his life was over, otherwise he would never let Huang Zhulang go so easily in the first place. It would be too ridiculous. Later, He Zixiao's body after rebirth caused a lot of lawsuits. Hu Sunyang actually came up with a way to solve He Zixiao's body. The person who wanted to put He Zixiao's body to death was the local Futai. She was very seductive, so Hu Sunyang used a trick to get Huang Zhulang to seduce her. After killing Futai, Huang Zhulang finally returned in triumph with most of Futai's property. It's just that he helped He Zixiao this time. Seeing that he is still handsome and beautiful, and the two had such a relationship in the past, He Zixiao only likes Huang Zhulang more in his heart. Although his beloved wife is by his side, a wife is not as good as a concubine. A concubine it is better to steal, and to steal is worse than not being able to steal. He originally liked the remoteness of Long Yang. Now that such a beautiful young man is in front of him, Huang Zhulang is grateful to him. Moreover, she still had love for him, and knew that she could no longer have anything to do with Huang Zhulang, which made her feel even more uncomfortable. In the end, the two of them couldn't help themselves. Huang Zhulang couldn't bear to let Ai Lang get into trouble, so he agreed to wait a few months. After having a good time that day, He Zixiao made good friends with the very famous imperial physician Qi Yuang. This man had outstanding medical skills. As long as the two of them had a good time, just ask the imperial physician Qi to prescribe some medicine. In this way, the pain of lovesickness is relieved, and intimacy once every month is even more addictive. Hu Sunyang was originally unwilling to commit herself to He Zixiao, but because the rice has become cooking, she had to swallow her anger and be good. Living with He Zixiao, who would have expected that these two people would do such a thing? Although these two people acted secretly, the paper could not cover the fire after all, and Hu Sunyang still found out about it unintentionally. Thinking of the reason why Huang Zhulang deceived her into having sex with He Zixiao, and seeing that these two people were shamelessly doing such a thing now, Hu Sunyang was furious and filled with resentment. She didn't die miserably like the original owner in other plots, but Hu Sunyang was full of resentment. Her life was ruined by these two things that were worse than pigs and dogs. Although she was an animal, she had always been clean and self-possessed, and she practiced magic diligently, originally yearning for the way of heaven and earth, hoping to achieve positive results through practice as soon as possible. Unfortunately, Huang Zhulang used a trick to destroy her Yuanyin body, so that she could no longer achieve positive results. Once she lost her virginity, she could no longer practice. But it was all in vain. She fell into the love of a man and a woman from then on. It would have been fine if He Zixiao was devoted to her. Who would have expected that these two people would harm her like this? Hu Sunyang felt resentful in her heart, but now she has already been hurt by others. After getting along for many years, he was no longer Huang Zhulang's opponent, and He Zixiao stood by Huang Zhulang's side again. In the end, the original owner died in depression, with only a resentment in his chest that he could not swallow. What's even more annoying is that once the news about Huang Zhulang finally came out, the incident was not only not ugly, but also considered beautiful. The vixen believed that Huang Zhulang could charm men, which proved his charm, and everyone praised him for his loyalty. He was able to eliminate adultery and have deep love and righteousness, but no one thought about what poor Hu Sunyang was thinking. After all, in the eyes of others, Hu Sunyang was considered happy to have a husband. But she never thought that although Hu Sunyang was a beast, she was not willing to be someone else's stepmother. Even if this body was not the real He Zixiao, she was not willing to do it. In addition, there was also her former cousin as the stepmother. The feeling in my heart is naturally complicated. Lily arrived quite early now, before Hu Sunyang had yet to transform. Thinking of this, Lily breathed a sigh of relief. Among the brothers and sisters of the Hu family, her favorite thing was to play with Huang Zhulang. Although the two were called cousins, they were actually as close as direct brothers and sisters, so Hu Sunyang never thought that Huang Zhulang would harm her like this. So after knowing the truth, she couldn't accept such a thing at all. Third sister, ninth brother is here to see you. As soon as Lily opened her eyes, a yellow-furred fox ran in from outside the cave, shaking its big fluffy tail and making a chirping sound. It was still early at this time, and few of the brothers and sisters could practice human form. The original owner was very naughty. When others were practicing, she would almost always hide in the cave and be lazy, but because she could act coquettishly and was not very old, because of this, even the stern fox mother couldn't be stern with her. Lily opened her eyes and chirped a few words in reply, and then sent Huang Zhulang away directly. Second sister, my cousin has a big brother here. Hello, why do you need me to go? What's more, it seems to be due to the weather recently, I don't want to move. My good sister will go and say hello to brother ninth for me. Huang Zhulang's mother is her aunt. She has a strict personality, and she has always suffered from heartache, which has not been cured for many years. If she hadn't practiced for many years and had strong demonic power to withstand it, she would have died long ago, but although she is alive, her temper is very weird. Except for Hu Sunyang, who is not afraid of her, the other nieces and nephews are afraid of her when they see her. Because of this, Hu Sunyang has the most frequent interactions with this aunt among the sisters, and after Huang Zhulang the relationship between them is also very cordial. Normally Hu Sunyang would be overjoyed when she heard Huang Zhulang coming. Now seeing that she didn't want to pay attention to her, Hu Erniang hesitated for a moment, said yes, then turned around and ran out. Although she is a demon this time, because of her experience of becoming a dragon king, Lily is not opposed to her identity this time. She has a hunch that if she completes the mission well this time, she might be able to be like Jing He. Like that time with the Dragon King, the more difficult the task and the more non-human she became, the more benefits she would receive. As a monster, It is much more difficult to practice spells than humans, but once you start practicing, monsters have a longer lifespan than humans. What Lily is afraid of now is not that the spells she practices are not powerful enough, she is afraid it's just that I don't have enough time. Now, as a fox, she has to practice for hundreds of years before she becomes an adult and becomes a human. At this time, there are still nearly 1,000 years before Huangjulang wants to introduce her to Hezixiao. Other demon cultivators do not practice the code, and rely entirely on instinct to cultivate. They either absorb the essence of the solar eclipse and moonlight, or they may find other shortcuts to harm people and practice evil arts. The former is too slow to practice and the effect is not obvious. 1,000 years of practice may not be as good as a Taoist who has practiced for 30 years. The latter will suffer thunder disasters after harming people. Generally, there are very few monsters that can withstand the 9 heavens' divine thunder. When Lily was the Dragon King, she had experienced the power of the 9 heavens' divine thunder. Naturally, she could not do it now. To practice by harming people, she has the Tao Te Ching of the heaven and earth section. She doesn't know where Rong Li got such a Tao Te Ching in the first place. Not only can he practice it as a human, but he can also practice it after becoming a demon. And the effect was very good. She decided to practice hard at this time. As long as she has the strength in hand, she will not be afraid of anyone, whether it is Hezixiao's scholar Heiran Genki or Huangjulang's scheme. Because of this, Hu Sunyang, who was originally the weakest and didn't like to practice in the Fox King Peak, suddenly seemed to have changed into a fox. While the other sisters were practicing, she was practicing, and the other sisters were practicing. When absorbing the brilliance of the sun and moon, she also sat in the brilliance of the sun and moon to practice, but everyone else had already rested, but she was still practicing. When Fox, who was born earlier than her, could just feel the aura of heaven and earth, Lily could already transform into a human behind her back. She had been a four-legged animal for a long time, but in fact, she still preferred to be a person walking on 2 legs. But in order to avoid people's attention, no one said anything about her ability to transform. The fox mother only thought that she had only practiced for 20 or 30 years, and it was impossible for her to be able to transform, even if she was aware of this daughter. Weirdness, but in fact, he did not take this change to heart. As he slowly practiced for hundreds of years, Lily felt dangerous when seeing the fox mother at first, but later she could feel that in terms of strength, the fox mother is no longer her opponent at all. In this way, 500 years passed by in a flash, and the 2 sisters who had practiced earlier than Lily were finally able to transform into human forms. It was not until a few years later that Lily deliberately let people discover that she could also transform into humans. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 209. At this time, Lily transformed into a girl of 12 or 13 years old, with bright eyebrows and white teeth. In terms of the exquisiteness of her appearance, it was far more exquisite than any of her previous tasks. The key is that besides practicing the Tao Te Ching, she has a cold look and a fox-like charm about her. These 2 completely contradictory feelings made her quickly become the most popular fox on Fox King Peak once she transformed. Her reputation is even better than the plot. Hu Sunyang in the song is even louder. After being able to transform, Lily no longer practiced as secretly as before. Once she transformed into a human form, it meant that she had qualified for her own cave. With her own cave, she practiced more unscrupulously. In this way, 400 to 500 years passed slowly as Lily continued to practice, and at this time, Huangjulang finally met Hezixiao. As early as more than 800 years ago, Huangjulang was able to transform. He was naturally intelligent and among the children of his generation, he was considered a very outstanding person. He was filial and polite. In addition, he transformed early. He can be regarded as one of the first songs in Fox King Peak. Many little foxes like him very much. Even Hu Sunyang's two original sisters also have a good impression of him. They often run to their aunt whenever they have nothing to do. At this time, because of his mother's illness, he often went to Fox King Peak to find medicinal materials for his mother. When the foxes in Fox King Peak talked about Huang Zhulang, they all praised him highly. But Lily has no good impression of Huang Zhulang. Under the influence of the original owner, she even has an unspeakable dislike for Huang Zhulang. No one knows that in the inner memory of the original owner, she also liked this cousin like her two sisters. But it was a pity that he was sent to his lover's bed in the end. This is tantamount to a blow to Hu Sunyang. Lily transformed into a human form as usual while practicing with her legs crossed. Her ears were very keen and she heard the scent of Huang Zhulang in the mountains. A few small footsteps ran towards her cave, and not long after, she heard a charming female voice saying, "Third sister, come out and play quickly. Ninth brother is here and he wants to see you by name." There was a bit of sourness in the words, as if she was jealous. Lily frowned, and she didn't want to pay attention to him at first. But thinking about the time when Huang Zhulang and he Xiao meet, I'm afraid it won't be long ago. If she doesn't show up again, Huang Zhulang still doesn't know what to do. The fox has always been famous for his cunning, and he can still know the plot by relying on himself. Therefore, he still has a slight chance of winning against Huang Zhulang. If he is forced to think of another way, although he is not afraid based on his current strength, it will still be troublesome. She jumped off the futon and stood up and opened the door. There were two charming girls standing outside the door. One of them wears a red gauze dress, and the other wears vermilion. The two of them have somewhat similar eyebrows, and there is a bit of charm in the corners of their eyes. When they laugh now, their chests rise and fall slightly. If anyone else was there, they would have been seduced and lost most of their souls. It's not that Mrs. Hu and her sisters used this charm skill deliberately. It is the nature of foxes to practice charm skills. At this moment, the two of them are still a little unable to control it due to their weak cultivation, but Lily just glanced at the two of them and stepped out of the door. "Why are you two sisters in such a hurry? Huang Zhulang is here as soon as he comes. Could it be that he is some big shot and needs someone to beat the gongs and drums to pick him up? If he wants to see me, I will go and see him. He will treat me like a little bobcat puppy. Where are you? If he wants to see me, he can see me. If I don't want to see him, he won't see me yet." The original owner had a very good relationship with Huang Zhulang before, but after Lily came, she quickly acted as if her relationship with Huang Zhulang had deteriorated. Hu Erniang's eyes showed a bit of joy. She had a lot of admiration for Huang Zhulang and wanted to marry her. When I arrived at my aunt's house, I found that although Huang Zhulang had been outstanding since he was a child, he was only the best with Hu Sunyang among the three sisters of the Hu family. Fortunately, this silly sister ignored Huang Zhulang in the past 1,000 years, otherwise Hu Erniang's selfish motives might not succeed. Seeing the impatient look on Beihi's face when she spoke, Hu Erniang and the eldest sister exchanged glances, and both pursed their lips and smiled. "Silly sister, why did brother Ninth make you unhappy? If you don't like it, just take a look and leave. Give the sisters this face and don't make it difficult for the sisters, okay? Hu Sunyang has this long body, she is very good at it. After cultivating the human form, her original appearance is that of the most chosen one among the sisters. In addition, she practices the most authentic Taoist secrets. As time goes by, her otherworldly appearance becomes more and more obvious. The fairy aura became more and more obvious. Among a group of charming foxes, she was undoubtedly the most eye-catching one. The two sisters Hu Erniang were deeply afraid that once she appeared, Huang Zhulang would no longer look down on others. At this moment, she herself it was not someone else who wanted to leave, so both of them felt a little happy. After a few more words of persuasion, Lily finally agreed reluctantly. When the sisters appeared in the main hall, Lily immediately saw the bejeweled young man sitting next to the fox mother. In the plot, he is described as having the beauty of a pearl, and his beauty is not even inferior to that of a girl. Now it seems that he is about 15 years old, with an oval face, but his eyes are the slender and charming eyes unique to foxes, and they sparkle when he looks at people. Circulation, there is indeed an indescribable charm and charming appearance, and the appearance is suitable for both men and women. No wonder the original owner was so infatuated with him that he didn't even mention it. The scholar Hezekiah was shocked when he saw him for the first time. People. At the moment, he is wearing a yellow robe, which should be related to the color of his coat. If someone else wears it in a vulgar khaki color, wearing it now on him makes his skin as smooth as jade, white and delicate. Excellent. When he saw Lily appear, a look of surprise flashed in Huang Zhuolang's eyes, but he quickly stood up and saluted Lily. Although they are not human beings, the foxes in Fox King Peak have always respected etiquette. Sometimes some ancient rituals are even more important than humans. At this time, Huang Zhuolang's etiquette and demeanor are so outstanding that it is really hard to find anything wrong. Come, he was wearing a jade crown. He glanced at Lily affectionately and called out softly, "Third sister." When he looked at the person, his eyes were somewhat seductive, which made both Antu and the sisters feel a twinge of excitement. Ripples, but Lily knows that this is not entirely due to his own charm. In addition to the fact that he is many times more handsome than the girl, there is also the reason why he has practiced enchantment. Even if every fox is born with poor magic skills, almost all of them can learn the charm skill thoroughly. Huang Zhuolang's strength is far superior to Hu Erniang and others, so now when he uses the charm skill, it comes from the two foxes were hard to guard against. At this moment, they just wished they could stick to Huang Zhuolang's body. Huang Zhuolang was almost the only one left in his eyes. This is the scary thing about charm. If you are caught unknowingly, your soul may be lost. But this little Taoist practice has no effect at all in front of Lily. She practices the most authentic Taoist mental skills. Nearly 1,000 years of time have given her an unfathomable magical power. Although due to this body, her training is not as convenient as humans to get up, but in these years, there has been no fox in the Fox King Peak that can be her opponent. Even the most powerful Fox King, who is said to have lived for nearly 10,000 years, is not Lily in terms of magic power. The opponent, Huang Zhuolang, also used charm skills on the two sisters of the original owner. Although it was possible that he did it subconsciously, Lily still snorted coldly. And who suddenly woke up. Lily's shout just now shocked her. Now her heart was so sweet that she could barely hold back a mouthful of blood. When she looked at Huang Zhuolang again, although he was still handsome and charming, but she was not as willing to scheme against her sisters for him and be at odds with her as before. She was also a fox herself, and she didn't know that she had fallen into Huang Zhuolang's way. After saying no, he and his second sister exchanged suspicious glances, and quickly ran out without looking back. Brother Ninth came to see my little sister, but what are you doing? Lily's voice meant that apart from Hu Erniang and the sisters being injured, Huang Zhuolang was also seriously injured. His full and smooth face like jade seemed to have lost a few points at this moment. The brilliance seemed a little dim. He coughed twice and glanced at Lily with some surprise. I haven't seen you for many years. Third sister now has such a powerful magic. I'm afraid my aunt is not your opponent now, right? After he said this, he looked at Lily's appearance of not wanting to pay attention to him, and pursed her lips. My mother's condition has been somewhat under control recently. The imperial doctor Qi Yuang gave her medicine. Now she has taken it and her body has improved a lot. My third sister has been recovering from the disease over the years. My mother is really worried about not going to visit her old man, so she specially asked my brother to go there, and wants to invite my third sister to be a guest at her house tomorrow, so as to make my mother happy. Lily was a little surprised when she heard this. Because she didn't know how many years she practiced in the mountains, so although she could estimate a rough time, she didn't keep the real date in mind. After all, the foxes in Fox King Peak all practiced for the Lord, instead of being busy like other people all day long just to support their families. She understood it every day as it passed. She thought it would be some time before Huang Zhulang could confront He Zixiao. At this moment it seemed as if these two people had already had a relationship. Huang Zhulang originally thought that after he said this, Lily would happily agree. After all, although Lily seemed to have changed a lot over the years and was far away from him, her mother used to have a violent temper even if she was suffering from heart disease. But she really likes Hu Sunyang, a gentle and intelligent niece. In addition, Hu Sunyang used to be quite obsessed with him, so she never refused his request. At this moment, Huang Zhulang saw Lily being silent, and felt in his heart he couldn't help but panic. He laughed twice awkwardly, and glanced at Lily uneasily. Could it be that third sister thinks there's something wrong? To be continued. P.S. Thank you, pal. M.O., dear He Shivi who gave the reward. There are 3 updates today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 210. Not really, it's just that the 9th brother's appearance is more handsome than before, and I'm a little fascinated. Lily has been waiting for this day, and now she is no longer the Hu Sunyang who never fought back when facing He Zixiao. A powerful fox. If Huang Zhulang really wants to pick her up and play with her, that's all. But if he wants to plot against himself like he plotted against Hu Sunyang in the plot, then he can only be blamed for being in bad luck. That night Huang Zhulang rested at Hu's house. The next day, after Huang Zhulang informed the fox mother, he took Lily down to Fox King Peak. Under the Fox King Peak is a vast prairie as far as the eye can see. Lily has not come down the mountain to see it since she came to this world. She has been training diligently for many years, and now she goes down the mountain for the first time. Because she is not a real fox, she looks he was calm and did not show the freshness of going down the mountain for the first time. Huang Zhulang secretly looked at her a few times and saw that there was a smile on the corner of her mouth, and she picked a piece of dogtail grass from somewhere in her hand and was playing with it. At this scene, he frowned slightly. Third sister, there is a study in front of you, and the person inside is my ally brother. You and I go to him to ask for a bowl of water, and take a rest along the way. You should be tired after walking for such a long time, right? Huang Zhulang seemed to be thinking about Lily. Lily had expected this move and sneered twice in her heart, but she complied with it on her face. He Zixiao was already waiting in the studio. When he saw Huang Zhulang bringing Lily in, he didn't believe Huang Zhulang's previous words about introducing a wife to him. There are very few people who can match Huang Zhulang's outstanding appearance. He suspected that Huang Zhulang wanted to use this matter to alienate him, and at first he was a bit contemptuous. You can see Lily walking into the house after Huang Zhulang. Suddenly a pair of eyes were glued to Lily. Very few foxes still look ugly after taking human form. In addition, she is born with the instinct of charm, so even if her appearance is mediocre, she is still very attractive in the eyes of others. Lily is different from ordinary foxes. In addition to inheriting Hu Sunyang's appearance, she also has, because he had gained a bit more fairy spirit through his training. Even though He Zixiao liked men, he still fell in love with Hu Sunyang at a glance. It can be seen how beautiful Hu Sunyang is, and now she is a little colder, making He Zixiao even more fascinated. Zhulang, can you still count what you said last time? He Zixiao asked the boy to pour tea while staring at Lily. If I don't count, today will be the day I die. Huang Zhulang originally had a lot of love for He Zixiao in his heart. He was still young, and the relationship between Hezixiao and him was the first time he had a good relationship with someone. If he didn't have much love for Hezixiao at the beginning, if you mean it, you won't be so sensitive that you can't bear to hurt him again and again. In the end, she endured the jealousy in her heart and found a famous beauty in Fox King Peak to be his wife. But although Huang Zhulang was interested in Hezixiao, he also decided to promote good things between Lily and Hezixiao. But when she saw Hezixiao staring at Lily non-stop in front of her, she still felt a bit sad in her heart, and sneered twice, "I'm just counting, but Zixiao needs to watch carefully. Keep it, lest you regret it later." Hezixiao could hear the dissatisfaction in his words. Thinking of the past when the two of them took off their clothes to sleep and did all the intimate things, his heart couldn't help but shudder. Although he was as good as Long Yang in the past, but now he sees the beauty. Erfang also felt that women were not bad, but he loved young men the most. If it weren't for the fact that he might lose his life if he was with Huang Zhulang, he would not choose another wife. What's more, there are 3 ways to be unfilial, and the worst is to have no heirs. No matter how much he loves a man, he should at least leave an heir to the He family. Thinking of this, Hezixiao became cruel again and winked at Huang Zhulang. "Don't worry, Zhulang, I have my own sense of proportion." The two people had this conversation in the original plot, and the original Hu Sunyang heard it. Now thinking about Hu Sunyang's performance, Lily seemed to show a bit of surprise, and whispered softly, "Brother Ninth, let's go." Hezixiao had almost eaten the meat in his mouth, but Hezixiao was reluctant to spit it out again. He hurriedly shouted to Huang Zhulang, "The donkey has run away." This was the secret code agreed by the two, indicating that Hezixiao liked Lily very much and wanted Huang Zhulang to dodge quickly. Huang Zhulang knew it well, and called Lily's maid and exited the room. In the blink of an eye, most of the people in the room had left. The look of fear on Lily's face disappeared, and Hezixiao's eyes showed an anxious look. "Please be happy with my sister." He reached out and hugged Lily. Lily did not show any panic after being deceived. Instead, she stood up with a smile, stretched out her hand and drew a talisman in the air. "Where to go?" Zixiao patted him on the body and fixed him in place. "Lang Jun, look into my eyes." Lily pursed her lips, and her charming big eyes showed a bit of brilliance. Hezixiao was a little panicked at first, but after hearing her gentle voice, his mind soon seemed to be in a trance. He fell into the quagmire and was so dizzy that he didn't know what he said. He just felt as if countless beauties were surrounding him, and he laughed. Fascinated by Hezixiao, Lily linked arms and slapped the shameless scholar hard. "It's a waste of time for you to read the Book of Sages, but you've read that the dog's belly is full of male thieves and female prostitutes." Lily beat the scholar severely, but she chose a place where he had a lot of flesh and where no one could see him. A look of pain appeared on his face, and he straightened his collar. "There is a knife on the head of the word sex." Hezixiao has died once on the head of the word sex, and now it is still so obscene. She does not believe that the king of hell is particularly kind to this person. He was able to make him return to his yang once after his death. This time, if he is killed by Huang Zhulang again, it depends on whether the scholar is so lucky and can live again. About half an hour later, Lily sat down on the edge of the chair as if crying. Hezixiao woke up in a daze, feeling as if his bones were falling apart. He was disheveled, and what had he done before? Unexpectedly, he didn't have any memory at all. He only remembered the feeling of flesh and bone. Although he had no memory when he thought about it, for some reason, he felt that it was the most enjoyable time since he knew about the affair. Hezixiao was a little crazy. When Huang Zhulang came back, he saw the two of them looking weird. Lily seemed to be smiling but not smiling, which made him feel a little chilly when she stared at him. Hezixiao was also completely different from the bold and cheerful person in the past. He looked a little lost. "Look. What's going on?" Huang Zhulang asked bravely, and Lily said, "What's going on, Doesn't Brother Ninth know better? Brother Ninth designed to destroy my innocence, and now he pretends not to know anything. It's really disappointing. I feel extremely uncomfortable, and I am going to go to my aunt to find out everything and beg her to seek justice for me. As soon as these words were spoken, Huang Zhulang was a little flustered. He Xiao subconsciously moved his aching body with difficulty to block Lily, and said hurriedly, "Now you and I are making rice and cooking rice. If sister doesn't dislike it, Xiao is willing to marry my sister as my wife. Third sister, this ally brother of mine is the one who holds the most promise. He is the famous scholar He Xiao in the past. He died for some reason and the judge fell in love with him, so his soul attached to this Taishi. If you marry the ally brother, you will also be the Taishi in the future. Madam, with such a destined marriage, why should the third sister shirk it?" Huang Zhulang was quite frightened when he heard that Lily was about to file a complaint. Doing such a thing is really not an upright act. If he told Lily everything, it was up to her to make her own decision, but now that she was designed like this, she was unwilling to give up. Huang Zhulang felt a little scared, a little disgusted, and inexplicably felt aggrieved, so he couldn't help but turn his head away. He walked away and said, "Third sister will rest here today. I will talk to my aunt when I get back." After he finished speaking, he winked at He Xiao, fearing that Lily would still make a fuss and leave with him. He took the servants and the donkey and left. Lily looked at his leaving figure and just sneered twice. At night, He Xiao thought about how he got such a beautiful woman today, as if he had a date in London, but he couldn't remember any details. He felt a little unwilling. He wanted to relive the old dream again, but he didn't know why. But all the bones in his body were sore, and now the pain was so painful that even sitting was difficult. He didn't know why, and he only guessed that maybe Taishi's body was very weak, so he had the lust but was unable to act on it, so he had to. I slept like this all night. With no name and no status, Lily settled in this scholar's home, without the orders of her parents or the words of a matchmaker. Even if Lily was not Hu Sunyang, she felt that this was not beneficial to her reputation, but Huang Zhulang kept saying that he wanted to facilitate it. The marriage between Hu Sunyang and He Xiao has still put her cousin in such an embarrassing situation. No wonder all the little things turned into big things, which finally made Hu Sunyang resentful. At first, He Xiao seemed to have wounds on his body that had not yet healed, so he did not dare to do anything obscene. But after 2 days, he couldn't bear it anymore. Thinking of what Huang Zhulang said back then, he pulled Lily and said affectionately, "Madam, you and I are one husband and wife. Now that I have gotten into a lawsuit for my husband, I beg you to help me." At first, he made a sad face in front of Lily, and Lily just pretended not to notice it. Now seeing that he finally lost his temper, Lily nodded, "If you need my help, sir, just tell me." In the past, there was a government in Qin dynasty who imposed excessive levies and extortion. I didn't think he could get used to it, so I wrote a letter to sue him. The only reason was that there was someone in the dynasty, so I couldn't sue him. Instead, my husband was considered to have overstepped his duties and was dismissed from his official position. He originally heard Huang Zhulang say that Lily was smart and would definitely come up with a good way to solve the problem for him, so he wanted to tell the matter and ask her for help. Unexpectedly, when Lily heard this, she knew what she was thinking, but she acted like this on her face. He looked surprised. "Has Mr. Lang been dismissed? Then why did the ninth brother say that you are also the Taishi?" To be continued. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 211. Lily's question made He Xiao speechless. He felt a little guilty at first, and then a little impatient. "Women, please stop meddling in these nosy things. Now you and I are one husband and wife, one will be prosperous and one will suffer. If the wife is not willing to help, when my husband is beheaded, it will be the day when my wife will accompany her husband to death. There was sarcasm in the corner of Behi's mouth, and she rolled her eyes. I'm afraid the husband has forgotten that you and I have never understood our parents, not to mention that I am not a human being. If something happens to the husband, his soul will return to the underworld, so what does he have to do with me? After she said this, she saw that his Xiao's face was green and white, and his chest was rising and falling. Xian Ran was shocked and angry. He rolled his eyes and said with a smile, I am joking with you. Could it be that you are actually here? Are you serious? If you want to talk about this method, it's not that there is no such thing. It's just that if you want to take down the old thief Qin Fan, you have to rely on the ninth brother. His Xiao began to feel quite unhappy when he heard Lily say that her misfortune had nothing to do with her. Although he knew that husband and wife are birds of the same forest and fly separately when disaster strikes, he was still very unhappy to hear Lily say this. He secretly thought that a man like Kuro, who was so charming, could be mistaken when he met such a ruthless woman. But then he heard that the matter could be solved. His heart moved and he hurriedly asked, is there any way to solve it? I heard that the thief Qin Fan likes little hustlers. The ninth brother is very handsome and he is also a fox. If Lang Jun can present him, Qin Fan will definitely love him. When Lily said this, his Xiao subconsciously said, that's not okay. Why not? Mr. Lang may not know that if it is between a human and a demon, the yin and yang of men and women complement each other, but if the person my ninth brother meets is a man, he will definitely drain the yang energy and die. The ninth brother only needs to suck away the yang energy. Most of Qin Fan's yang energy makes him no longer able to harm his husband. Old grudges can be eliminated and new grudges can be avenged. Wouldn't it be great? Lily remembered the scene in the original plot where Hu Sunyang had no doubts about these two people. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart, and looked at his Xiao with an even colder look. I just have an idea, it's up to the husband whether he listens to it or not. His Xiao was not a truly upright person to begin with, not to mention that he probably didn't love Huang Zhulang more. It should be that he was fascinated by his beauty, otherwise Huang Zhulang would be sacrificed by him in the plot. If it was true love, how could he let it go? It's just that this time Lily is not as stupid as Hu Sunyang. She always stands up for his Xiao, but after giving him a little boost, she sees a sad look on his face, as if she is reluctant to give up and is finally cruel, and she can't help but feel a little bit. He was disdainful, but pretended to be curious and asked, I heard from ninth brother that Lang Jun was originally a famous scholar, his Xiao. Why did he die before his life was over? How could his Xiao answer this in front of Lily? He originally thought that in order to survive, he would sacrifice Zhulang and let the old thief Qin Fan ruin him, but he couldn't bear it. After all, Zhulang had a relationship with him in the past life. Now he heard Lily Jin ask some questions that he couldn't answer, so he rolled up his sleeves and stood up. I don't want to say, women, don't have long hair, short knowledge and less talk, do more and don't ask questions. After saying that, he turned around and went out, and did not return all night. Lily didn't care whether he came back or not, but Huang Zhulang and his Xiao came back one after another the next day, and his Xiao immediately knelt down in front of Huang Zhulang. Huang Zhulang was shocked and asked him why. His Xiao glanced at Lily. Lily knew that he felt such embarrassing things and hoped that she could speak for him, but how could Lily do such a stupid thing at this moment? As if he didn't notice his Xiao's eyes, he turned his head away. His Xiao had no choice but to explain his plan, and finally said, this matter was Sunyang's idea, Zhulang, please help me. As soon as he finished speaking, Huang Zhulang showed a look of embarrassment and humiliation on his face. He endured it for a long time and glanced at Lily, seeming to complain, third sister is so confused, how could she come up with such an idea? Lily was not surprised at all that his Xiao would blame the matter on her. This time she did not rush to stand up for his Xiao like in the plot. Such a thing that ruined the relationship between the two people. If He Zixiao still wants to do it, from how could he make Huang Zhulang resent him when he was getting some benefits from him? Therefore, he now speculated that it was Lily's idea. Seeing that Huang Zhulang really blamed Lily instead of himself, he breathed a sigh of relief. The husband asked me about my idea, but I just mentioned it casually. The husband taught me the right lesson. I think people with long hair and short knowledge should not come up with random ideas. Ninth brother only takes it as a joke and does not need to take it seriously. When she spoke like this, He Zixiao suddenly became a little anxious. He had lost his life in a muddle-headed manner before, and finally lived again. Ants are greedy for life. He also wanted to cherish the hard-won longevity. Now he hated Lily for not giving it to him. He wanted to save face, but he couldn't deny that it was her idea. Seeing that he couldn't escape, he bit the bullet and said that he hoped Huang Zhulang would help. The fox itself is an animal. Although it has been cultivated for many years to become a human being, when it comes to the love affairs between men and women, no matter how much animals cultivate and learn more like humans, they are fundamentally different after all. The relationship between men and women is not what humans see. With that kind of strictness, unless they are fox spirits who practice as Yuanyan like Lily, most fox spirits who rely on sucking the yang energy from men will not mind accomplishing good things with men. At this moment, Ai Lang was begging in front of him. Although Huang Zhulang was a little dissatisfied, he hesitated for a moment. After all, he was a little soft-hearted and agreed. Seeing that he agreed, He Zixiao felt happy. Seeing that most of the matter was solved, he felt a little guilty towards Huang Zhulang, and also felt a little bit angry and complained about Lily, the person who had made the idea. They were alone together during the wax night. Lily knew what the two were going to do, so she just pretended not to know. As the two expected, Huang Zhulang finally succeeded in arriving at Qin Fan's house because of He Zixiao's former people. Lily still stayed at He Zixiao's house. From time to time, if she didn't like him, she used magic to charm him. Gave him a good beating. Over time, He Zixiao felt more and more uncomfortable. Although he was not very old, he had more and more ailments all over his body. Because He Zixiao was alive again, the imperial physician Qi Yuang felt very strange when he heard about it. He also took a spare opportunity to come to the study. This imperial physician Qi was very clever and had very powerful medical skills. Now he saw He Zixiao. Zixiao couldn't help but feel even more surprised when he saw that he had indeed changed into a different person. He was talkative when asked but yet answered fluently. I just felt that the world is so big and full of wonders. He Zixiao asked Lily to come out to see Li. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lily glanced at Imperial Physician Qi and left an impression in his eyes that he would not be able to help He Zixiao to get the medicine several times in the future. Hint. Huang Zhulang went to Qin Fan's house and was favored by Qin Fan. He even refused to touch his wives and concubines, and only guarded him for a day. As time went by, his body was losing weight quickly, and soon Qin Fan's soul was gone. After leaving the body, his face turned ashen. With such an incident, Qin Fan naturally had no way to come and cause trouble for Huang Zhulang. Taking advantage of Qin Fan's favor with him in the past, he evacuated all the Huang family's property and planned to settle down next to He Zixiao's study in the future. When He Zixiao saw Huang Zhulang return and brought such a sum of money, he was both happy and a little touched. There was endless love and affection that night. After having Lily, He Zixiao found that women are gentle on the surface. But it does not make him as happy physically and mentally as Huang Zhulang, so he has secretly regretted it in his heart. If it were not for the sake of his children, he really does not want to marry a woman, but he dare not say it out loud, for fear of Huang Zhulang. Zhulang knew that he would leave him after that. When the two were in love and passionate, Futai Qinfan finally died and returned to the west. When Lily came to Qin's mansion, it was already in chaos. Qin Fan's body stayed in the morning hall, and Qin Fan's wife cried heartbrokenly. Even though this man was so bad that he was outraged by both humans and gods, he left behind his wife, concubines, and heirs. Now he has left, and his family property has been taken away by Huang Zhulang. Since the orphans and widows were left with no one to rely on, I was really crying miserably at this moment. You, who are you? The woman was panicking in her heart at the moment. The once glorious Qin mansion was emptied of people when Qin Fan died. Huang Zhulang swept away the Qin family's assets, leaving everyone in the family empty. As soon as the people saw that their master was dead and that their mistress had no more good to gain, they all ran away and walked away. They looked extremely miserable now. The coffin in the hall was pitch black, and a wandering soul was floating around next to it. Lily herself had been a heavenly master, and now she was still learning authentic mission Taoism. Naturally, she was not afraid when she saw the ghosts of Qin and Fan. And she was afraid that Mrs. Qin would cry really loudly and the concubines would look in panic. She smiled at Mrs. Qin and said, "Mrs. Qin, do you want to take revenge? If so, I can give you an idea." Thanks to becoming a fox this time, her mind is much more flexible than before. She came up with a crooked idea that she could not think of before. After coming to this world, she came up with it. It was not a shady conspiracy, but an upright and honest idea. There is a conspiracy to make the scholar and Huang Zhulang die a good death. Mrs. Qin saw that the door was locked, but suddenly a beauty appeared in the room. She was already pale with fright, but when she heard Lily said that she wanted to avenge herself, she glanced at Lily with some confusion. I wonder what revenge the young lady is referring to? I don't know what kind of revenge I can take. As she spoke, she wiped her eyes with a towel, obviously not understanding that Qin Fan's death was not that simple. To be honest with you, madam, the person who was favored by Master Qin was not someone else, but a fox in the Fox King Peak. He came here to seduce Master Qin on purpose because of the scholar he's Xiao. Lily explained. Seeing Mrs. Qin again, she still didn't believe it. Then he's Xiao, I'm afraid Mrs. Qin doesn't know who he is. He was originally in love with Huang Zhulang, but in the end he was poisoned by a fox and died. However, before his life was over, he was born in the former deceased Taishi. Lily said the names of people after he Xiao Tuo was born, and as expected, a look of surprise appeared on her face when she saw Mrs. Qin. To be continued.